At 9:12 in the morning on April 16, 1947, the port of Texas City vanished. A ship loaded with fertilizer exploded with the force of a small atomic bomb. More than 580 people died in seconds. The blast threw a 1.5-ton ship anchor nearly 2 miles inland. It remains the deadliest industrial accident in American history, and almost no one saw it coming. I want to tell you what happened that morning on the docks of Galveston Bay, what caused a cargo of farm fertilizer to level an entire port, and why the warning signs were hiding in plain sight. Texas City in 1947 was a booming industrial port town. Oil refineries lined the waterfront. The Monsanto chemical plant dominated the skyline. Ships arrived daily from around the world to load and unload cargo at the busy docks. The morning of April 16th started like any other. Longshoremen reported for work in the gray Gulf Coast dawn. The air smelled of salt water and petroleum from the surrounding refineries. The French cargo ship Grandcamp sat at the dock. Its crew had just finished loading a cargo of ammonium nitrate fertilizer. More than 2,300 tons of it. Ammonium nitrate looks harmless. It comes as small white pellets that dissolve in water. Farmers spread it on fields to make crops grow faster. It had been shipped around the world for decades without incident. But ammonium nitrate has a secret. Under heat and pressure, it becomes one of the most powerful explosives ever created by accident. The crew of the Grandcamp did not know this. The dock workers did not know this. The fire department did not know this. At 8 in the morning, smoke was seen rising from the cargo hold. The fertilizer was on fire. The captain made a decision that would prove catastrophic. He ordered the crew to batten down the hatches and pump steam into the hold. He wanted to smother the fire without water that would ruin the cargo. Steam meant heat. Heat meant pressure. The ammonium nitrate was now cooking inside a sealed steel container. The fire grew. The ship's deck became too hot to stand on. Longshoremen gathered on the dock to watch the spectacle. Schoolchildren paused on their way to class to look at the smoke across the bay. No one knew they were standing in the kill zone. At 9:12, the Grandcamp detonated. The explosion registered on seismographs as far away as Denver, Colorado. Windows shattered in Houston, 40 miles distant. Pilots flying over Louisiana felt their planes shake in the sky. A mushroom cloud rose 2,000 feet above the port. The ship disintegrated into thousands of pieces of hot steel shrapnel. A 15-foot wall of water surged across the dock and into the town. The blast wave leveled the Monsanto plant. It crushed the oil refineries and set them ablaze. Burning debris rained down across a square mile of the city. Every building within 1,000 feet of the dock simply ceased to exist. But that is not what made this the deadliest disaster on American soil. The Monsanto plant had been full of workers on the morning shift. More than 145 employees died where they stood. The explosion incinerated the plant so completely that only one body was ever positively identified. The longshoremen on the dock vanished. Of the 27 members of the Texas City Volunteer Fire Department who responded to the initial fire, only one survived. The ship's massive anchor was found nearly 2 miles away. It sits there today as a silent memorial in a small park. Across the bay, the shockwave slammed into another docked ship. The high flyer also carried a cargo of ammonium nitrate, more than 900 tons of it. The blast twisted the high flyer's hull and scattered burning debris onto its deck. Her crew abandoned ship immediately, but the fire took hold. For 16 hours, the high flyer burned unattended. Tugboats tried to pull it away from the dock, but the line snapped. Everyone knew what was coming. At 1:10 in the morning on April 17th, the high flyer exploded. The second blast was almost as powerful as the first. It destroyed the ships that had come to help. It killed 2 more people who had survived the initial disaster. It spread the destruction even wider through the ruined city. The fires from both explosions burned for days. Oil storage tanks cooked off one by one. The glow was visible for 40 miles at night. Fire crews from surrounding cities rushed in, but could do little more than contain the edges. The official death toll was set at 581, but the true number will never be known. Hundreds of bodies were never recovered. Some were vaporized by the heat. Others were lost to the harbor waters. Identification tags and dental records were destroyed in the fires. The wounded numbered more than 5,000. Hospitals from Galveston to Houston overflowed with burned and lacerated survivors. Doctors worked for days without rest. Entire families were wiped from the records. The casualty lists showed fathers and sons who had worked at the same plants, brothers who had been on the same dock, neighbors who had walked over to watch the smoke. The investigation that followed uncovered the truth about ammonium nitrate. The same fertilizer that fed crops could detonate if exposed to fire in a confined space. The chemistry had been known since World War I. It had simply been forgotten. Ammunition ships had exploded the same way during the war. A German ammonium nitrate plant had detonated in 1921, killing more than 500 workers. The pattern was hiding in the historical record the whole time. A new word entered the safety vocabulary after Texas City: deflagration. The transition of a chemical from burning to exploding. The ammonium nitrate in that sealed cargo hold had transitioned from fire to blast in seconds. The disaster changed everything about how hazardous materials are handled. New labeling requirements, new shipping regulations, new firefighting protocols, new rules about storing oxidizers near populated areas. But these changes came too late for Texas City. A memorial park now stands where the dock once was. A granite monument lists the names of the 581 officially recorded dead. The names of the volunteer firefighters have their own bronze plaque. The Grandcamp's anchor remains embedded in the earth of that small park. It is rusted and massive and achingly quiet. School groups visit it. Tourists take photographs beside it. Most of them do not know that the anchor killed 3 people when it landed. The Texas City disaster forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth about the modern world. We build our industries on the edge of catastrophe. We ship explosive materials under names that sound harmless. We put our firefighters in front of threats they do not understand. The workers who died that morning got up and went to work like any other day. They kissed their families goodbye. They clocked in. They noticed smoke rising from a ship, and they did not run. They did not run because no one had told them to run. No one had told them what ammonium nitrate could do. That is the thought that stays with me. Not the size of the explosion. Not the anchor that flew 2 miles. Not the 581 names on a granite wall. But the gap between what we think is safe and what is actually sitting in the cargo hold right next to us. That gap cost more than 500 lives in Texas City. And it is still out there, waiting for someone to forget.